Hello and welcome to DataBelt. My name's Matt Smith and I'm head of pre-sales at AIM. In this video we focus on how DataBelt can be leveraged by both buy and sell side during mergers, acquisitions and divestments, also known generally as M&A. We also look at DataBelt's applications post-deal. DataBelt is used by organizations, M&A consultants and private equity investors. However, DataBelt is a complete data solution covering all aspects of data discovery, visualization, cleansing, and transformation. So please take a look at our other videos in this series to see the other diverse use cases across all sectors that the DataBelt platform supports. So, back to M&A. We're going to cover a number of steps throughout the M&A lifecycle, from strategy and targeting in the form of non-financial due diligence to post-deal integration. Firstly, from the perspective of an M&A consultant, we'll demonstrate how to leverage DataBelt for both the buy side and sell side, working for a fictional company called Global Finance, which is looking at Stone Insurance, another fictional company, as a possible acquisition. We'll then look at how the sell side can benefit from the data provided by DataBelt, both prior to and during the M&A process. Finally, we'll see DataBelt from the perspective of an integration analyst within the newly merged organization, Global Calm, and look at how, post-deal, DataBelt can support post-merger activities and support the merged company going forward during the warranty period and beyond. At the core of DataBelt's application within the M&A lifecycle is the concept that data is a vital and critical business asset. Therefore, in order to complete a successful acquisition, we need to understand the quality, value, and risk of our data. DataBelt discovers, indexes, and classifies data in all forms from all structured and unstructured sources. To put this in context, if I want to understand the scope and current liabilities in a sales target from all its vendor contracts quickly and efficiently, rather than manually searching for and reading through all of them, DataBelt will discover and transcribe all of their contents so that the key elements contained in each contract, such as vendor, scope, duration, and cost, can be presented in a fraction of the time possible through manual means, and at a fraction of the cost. Imagine now that DataBelt is used across an organization's entire data estate, and you can start to imagine the power that DataBelt has in the M&A context. DataBelt achieves this using an AI-enabled robotic data crawler, which indexes data across an organization's entire data estate. Using TensorFlow machine learning, data is classified intelligently using business rules to auto-define what category of data it is. If DataBelt finds any document, for example an invoice, it uses optical character reading, or OCR, to know it's an invoice of a specific type, that relates to a specific product, that relates to a specific vendor. DataBelt indexing also allows high data volumes to be forensically interrogated at the field, text string, image, and audio level. If we need to locate a call recording that contains a word or phrase, DataBelt will pull it back in seconds. DataBelt is also built on powerful APIs, which allow secure integration with any and all systems and data sources. And as an analytical tool, it integrates fully with any M&A platform or data room that is used to plan and run an M&A project. Therefore, all the analysis and insightful data captured by DataBelt can update your planning system. Before we look at DataBelt in action, it's important to understand the specific business challenges that it addresses in the M&A context. Pre-deal, DataBelt allows both buy-side and sell-side to answer questions such as, is the data the target acquisition holds regulatory compliant? What are the data risks and liabilities? How secure is the data? And importantly, how valuable is the data? The rich data insight that DataBelt provides enables the sell side to promote itself as a valuable commodity worthy of the market value placed on it, and it provides the buy side with answers it needs to key questions around risk and reward in order to qualify the valuation. DataBelt can be used by both buy-side and sell-side throughout the M&A process, and in addition by the sell-side at an early pre-deal stage to get itself into good shape by using DataBelt to undertake health checks of its organization and to maximize that all-important value multiplier. DataBelt can then assemble and collate the answers to these questions into a seller information pack, which can be provided by the seller in hard copy or shared with the prospective buyer through DataBelt's secure online portal. Post-deal, should the buyer elect to continue to use DataBelt, the platform enables the next phase of M&A activity during the warranty period and after. That is, continuing to validate the acquisition, checking that no suspicious actions are taking place prior to the seller disengaging, monitoring the ongoing health of the acquisition, as well as supporting key actions such as operational synergy rationalization and analyzing strategic acquisition information. All the insight that supported the buy and sell sides throughout the pre-deal due diligence process continues to enhance the analytical capability of the acquired organization, removing the risk of value erosion and supporting subsequent M&A convergence activity. Now moving on to a summary of the benefits of using DataBelt. The buy side can gain an understanding of regulatory and security compliance, reduced post-deal risks and liabilities, gain an understanding of organizational data DNA, that is, how the selling organization works and the data flows it controls, and understand the true value of data assets. The sell side can maximize its value, facilitate efficient deal management, minimize the impact and cost of manual due diligence, as well as reduce the risk of post-deal litigation during the post-deal warranty period. Where deployed, DataBelt can also deliver document management and identify suspicious document or data behavior, for example large data downloads, data moved to insecure locations or jurisdictions, which may point to data being stolen or compromised. In short, DataBelt provides full transparency for all parties, qualifying the valuation in full and reducing risk. We're now going to see DataBelt in action, and I'm going to run through how it supports the use cases listed here. Starting off from the perspective of an M&A consultant for the buy side, we'll gain an understanding of the classification, location, and value of data, including Karmastone's data architecture. We'll then move on to other areas including data compliance and quality, cybersecurity posture, suspicious behavior, regulatory compliance, risks and liabilities, and customer satisfaction and reports. The best way to understand DataBelt's AI-enabled crawler and indexing capabilities is with this real-time visualization. We can see a number of robotic workers locating data of all formats within Karmastone and intelligently indexing, assigning classifications, risk levels, and valuations. I'm now going to log into DataBelt and cover our first use case, which is data indexing, classification, location, value, and data architecture. And to do that, we're going to go into the CMDB, or Configuration Management Database. What we saw a few moments ago was the AI-enabled data crawler within DataBelt, and it went across Karmastone's data estate and discovered a number of files, computer systems, and databases. That data was immediately indexed and can be accessed and reviewed within the CMDB. And just to give you an overview of the types of data that have been discovered, I'm going to move into our Keras builder, which is one of the deep learning features of DataBelt that is trained to automatically recognize different types of data, images, and documents. You can see various document types that have been discovered and classified, including, in this case, 3 different types of credit card data. And there's a whole host of document types that DataBelt can discover, ranging from passports to driving licenses to government documents such as P45s or tax returns. DataBelt can also be trained to discover company or industry-specific documentation, such as vendor contracts. If we take a look at the Visa credit card data that we've discovered, we found 100 documents with a match across Karmastone's data estate. We can also see the data's assigned value and risk weighting. This feeds into our DataBelt 360 view that we'll come on to later, and allows an understanding of the true impact of a cybersecurity attack on Karmastone, as the value and risk of the compromised data is understood. So we've seen DataBelt's capability in discovering, indexing, and classifying data, but it's also important to understand the location of that data and where it sits within Karmastone's data architecture. Now, I've just loaded up the class view within DataBelt's CMDB to talk about the CMDB's data model. It employs a best practice parent-child class relationship model that allows, for example, many file shares to be related to the single computer system that they're hosted on. This allows a full understanding of Karmastone's data architecture, as we're not just discovering data, but the location of that data and where it sits within Karmastone's infrastructure hierarchy. And I can see this hierarchy visually by navigating to the relationship viewer. This is key not just for cybersecurity purposes, but also for regulatory compliance. If I've discovered data that contains a list of national insurance numbers for British citizens, and I can see that this data is stored on a server in a jurisdiction outside of the EU, I'd want to carry out a check of that data to ensure that Karmastone is conforming to the GDPR legislation. So, we've seen DataBelt's capability in discovering, indexing, and classifying data, and how that informs us of the types of data Karmastone holds, its location, and risk. It's also key to understand the quality of that data. As an example, Karmastone may tell me that they have the details of 1 million potential customers. This is of course potentially very valuable, but without key data such as age, geographical location, and contact details such as telephone numbers and email addresses, that data is considerably less valuable. DataBelt helps us evaluate the quality and therefore the value of data using its DQI report, standing for Data Quality Index. At the top we have the validation results summary, which gives us a brief overview of the number of records processed and those which have passed and failed validation. And what we mean by validation is checking whether a record conforms to a particular standard. In this case, we may be interested that the customer contact records conform to a minimum standard, such as including either a phone number or email address. And DataBelt doesn't just check that those fields contain data, but that the data in those fields is valid and conforms to certain regular expressions. For instance, if we held a phone number of just 077, we'd know that that data is incomplete and holds a low data quality. Scrolling down, we can then see our validation breakdown and can see where key data is either blank or does not conform to the regular expressions held in DataBelt. We saw with the DQI report DataBelt's ability to assess records at the field level and determine the quality of the data depending on its conformance with regular expressions. For more complex use cases, DataBelt also contains an RCA engine, standing for Record Compliance Analysis. This allows us to plug in more complex business rules and evaluate Karmastone's records against more intricate and nuanced data. We may, for instance, be interested in evaluating the state of Karmastone's internal pension scheme. Instead of simply understanding the quality of Karmastone's data, we can carry out an evaluation against rules such as those set out by regulatory bodies. In this case, those set out by the pensions regulator. I'm now going to run the report, and we can see an output very similar in nature to the energy ratings we see on appliances throughout our homes. But in this context, we're seeing a data rating against a benchmark figure relating to the pensions regulator rules and guidelines. Moving on to cybersecurity, DataBelt provides us with endpoint audits and an understanding of Karmastone's cybersecurity posture and risk. This is DataBelt's 360 view, showing all configuration items, so things like servers and file shares for example, that have been located across Karmastone's data estate. And if I zoom into the UK, we can see a list of the relevant configuration items and their details, such as source, category, GDPR data type, and valuation. The UK is currently assigned a cyber risk rating of green, meaning that those configuration items are not currently suspected of being compromised. However, moving down to Greece, we can see that a cyber risk rating of red has been assigned, meaning that a Malop, or malicious operation, has been detected. I can see that a file share may have been compromised. I know that it relates to financial information. It has a GDPR data type of sensitive, and a value of £1.2 million. Loading up the Malop detail report, we can indeed confirm that Karmastone in Greece has been impacted as a result of a malicious operation, and this information can be exported as a PDF in the form of DataBelt's CMDB Asset Vulnerability Impact Assessment. This provides us with information such as location, impacted machine, affected users, and data valuation. This tells us that a significant malicious operation has occurred here, and I would want to know more about Karmastone's cybersecurity posture and what measures will be put in place to prevent a recurrence. So, we've seen how DataBelt's 360 view of Karmastone's global infrastructure estate has allowed us to see where various malicious operations are occurring throughout the world. Below a Malop in the cybersecurity context is what we call suspicious behavior. In the M&A context, that suspicious activity might relate to certain large files of customer contact or opportunity data being moved, deleted, or emailed externally to personal email addresses. DataBelt actively seeks out and reports on such suspicious behavior. DataBelt also provides certificate management. Now, certificates in this context allow applications and web-based software to communicate through the internet. In the case of Karmastone, they have a number of client-facing applications that their customers use, and if one of the certificates that supports an application expires and isn't renewed, then that application will no longer be able to function. DataBelt has analysed all certificates that exist throughout Karmastone's global data estate and flags up certificates that have expired or are due to expire. DataBelt also stores details such as the application and business owner, so that they can be notified in good time to mitigate against the risk of a certificate expiring. In Karmastone's M&A context, I would be particularly interested in any expired certificates that have not been renewed for key applications, both today and historically, to gain insight into possible lost revenue and impact on customer satisfaction. We can also gain an understanding of Karmastone's regulatory compliance, including data protection. This report is stored in DataBelt and forms a key part of the seller information pack that is shared with the buy-side Global Finance. DataBelt conforms with best practice GRC, or governance, risk and compliance processes, allowing key analysis points to be weighted and scored, providing a consolidated compliance score, which means that Global Finance can acquire, or Karmastone can provide, a full understanding of the sell risks and liabilities pre-deal. Now moving on to customer satisfaction. This is a metric that is sometimes hard to come by. Customer surveys generally have a low response rate, so a true understanding of customer satisfaction is hard to collate, even if our seller, Karmastone, actively surveys its customers. After all, it's no good having a seemingly strong repeat work pipeline if all the evidence suggests that customers of Karmastone will be unwilling to renew their business. DataBelt solves this long-standing issue by gaining insight into customer satisfaction from a range of sources, whether this be by formal surveying or not. The AI crawler has searched millions of records, including text messages, phone calls, emails, and letters. Using machine learning, all forms of customer communication are interrogated and assessed, providing a customer feedback metric for each individual interaction. The industry standard NPS, or Net Promoter Score, is then assigned to Karmastone. The customer satisfaction dashboard is just one of many industry standard dashboards that ship with DataBelt out of the box. Another example is the M&A dashboard. This is used by M&A consultants throughout the M&A lifecycle and pulls together and rolls up a number of the reports and insights that we've seen in DataBelt, such as data quality and malicious operations. This allows us to see data in a historical context. In this case, at the top left, data quality has improved over time, perhaps due to changes that Karmastone has implemented in the run-up to the M&A process. We also have insights into the number of DSARs, or Data Subject Access requests, vendor audits, and an overview of data assets. In addition to these standard dashboards and reports, DataBelt provides a powerful and intuitive report and dashboard builder, allowing consultants and organizations to create additional reports with no coding involved. These dashboards provide the single pane of glass for M&A operatives to view real-time and historical insight. So briefly back to the use cases. The rich insight that DataBelt provides in terms of compliance, data quality, health checks, and data architecture can be made available to the buy-side pre-deal through DataBelt's secure online sharing portal. And to add that DataBelt is multi-tenant, which means that the portal complies with the eDiscovery Reference Model, or EDRM standard, allowing it to comply with industry-leading legal depositions. According to the M&A persona and permissions granted within the buy-side organization, they will only have access to the data that is relevant to them, informing and supporting their assessment of Karmastone's risk and value. The volume and type of data that the seller is willing to impart to the buyer is often part of a price negotiation, so it is important that the data exchange can be controlled through DataBelt and in keeping with what was agreed. Post-deal, the merged organization Global Calm can then continue to benefit from DataBelt through its powerful reporting engine, the data insights it provides, and the inbuilt ETL engine to extract, transform, and load data, supporting any data hygiene and/or data merging activities. For example, cleansing and merging 2 or more large customer datasets. DataBelt therefore has a significant role to play in its support of synergy modeling and shared services. In our example, Karmastone's finance department is merging with the buy-side's finance department to create a single team within the target organization Global Calm. The insight we gain supports the merging of the two teams, and with a full understanding of risks, costs, benefits, and salaries provided by DataBelt through its DNA assessment. Once formed, Global Calm may also want to gain an understanding of vendor contracts. Related to what we talked about previously, in our example, Karmastone did not use a contract management tool, and all vendor contracts were stored as signed copies within a shared drive. DataBelt will locate all vendor contracts and transpose their data into a format that supports analysis. With a full understanding of vendor contracts, costs, and contract end dates, Global Calm can therefore carry out a vendor consolidation assessment in order to save costs going forward. Finally, Global Calm can then use DataBelt for future M&A activity, supporting the same use cases again that we've seen here. So, to recap, we've seen a number of different use cases that DataBelt supports in the M&A context, starting off with the non-financial due diligence stages of the M&A lifecycle. We've seen how DataBelt can enable the target organization to promote itself as being valuable, well-run, secure and stable, legally compliant, and importantly worthy of the value placed on it. We've also seen how the buy side is supported to understand the risk and reward of the acquisition and to qualify the valuation. Finally, we've seen how DataBelt is instrumental post-deal, supporting an ongoing check of the health of the target organization, and also supporting opportunities for synergy realization with shared services and vendor convergence. Thank you for watching. If you want to find out more about DataBelt and how it can support and drive your M&A activity on either the buy side or sell side, please get in touch. We provide trials and run proofs of concept so that DataBelt's value can be proven and your specific use cases met before supporting your next M&A project.